Hey there, this is the One Boom, and unfortunately, a persistent issue from Modern Warfare 3, and I believe Modern Warfare 2, is present in Black Ops 6 and is likely not being fixed. So, in order to fix it, you need to watch this video because it's not a bug, it's a feature. First, some context. In Modern Warfare 3, there was an issue where your idle sway was persisting inside of your hipfire. Meaning, the idle sway you get when aiming down sights and your sights get all wobbly woobly, that's happening while you're in hipfire stance. You just don't notice it. I mean, you can tell very subtly that there is some movement happening on the edges of your screen, makes the game feel more alive and less stiff. I'm all for it, really. Except that it impacts your point of aim. So if you are really good at centering and keeping your center of your crosshair dead set in the center of where an enemy is going to be so you can get easy upper body shots and headshots, that makes a ton of sense. And in most of your engagements, that's going to work out just fine. If you're using an automatic weapon and you're fighting within 25, 30 meters, even 40 meters, you're probably going to be just fine. You're not going to notice this issue. You're going to be controlling recoil, you're going to have a little bit of aim assist if you're on controller. Where this is really going to affect you in Black Ops 6 is on snipers. Snipers literally have this as a mechanic. How do I know it's a mechanic and how do I know it's probably not going to get patched? Is that there is an attachment that literally does what the MW3 patch did. So in MW3, the way they fix this is by adding a long delay after aiming down sight before idle sway kicks in, as it should be. Idle sway is supposed to come in and kind of keep you from hard aiming an angle for a long period of time. It's supposed to sort of show your character being fatigued, and if you want your game to be fast-paced, you want to do little things to discourage people from standing still and aiming at a piece of cover for like 30, 40, 50 seconds of a match. And it's an easy fix. You just un-ADS and then re-ADS to reset the idle sway. It just kind of keeps you paying attention. But there's an attachment that adds that idle sway delay to snipers that is required if you want the center of your scope to be the actual center of your screen when you ADS. So if your crosshair being in the center of your screen is important to you, you're going to have to run the target laser on snipers at all times, and I'd recommend at least one other attachment that mitigates aiming idle sway. But it's not just affecting your sniper though. This will affect marksman rifles and assault rifles just as well, because not every engagement in Call of Duty is happening within your effective range, and you want to be able to laser people outside of your effective range, or hell, even in close range where you're probably not going to notice this issue. You'd rather not have 1 out of every 50 gunfights in your effective range be thrown off by the fact that your idle sway might have taken you a pixel off of the enemy's head. So if you are having trouble with consistency in this game, and at mid to long ranges you are seemingly losing your gunfights by 1 bullet, you get multiple hit markers, but then something just doesn't hit, it could be the idle sway that's activated before you're even aiming down sight and while you're firing. That's the next part of this. While you're firing, that idle sway is still happening. And this is at least as far as I can tell, because when I was doing my XM4 weapon guide video, I noticed while doing the recoil tests that the recoil was incredibly predictable, but the idle sway would take me off target just like a little millimeter here and there. And again, not a big deal. I doubt you would notice it in a gunfight where you're tracking an enemy and controlling recoil, but when it comes to initial shots fired, or when it comes to somebody outside of effective range, somebody head glitching, somebody just moving a little bit weird and maybe you not compensating for this idle sway enough, you could lose gunfights here, and I think it's worth fixing. I was wondering why on most weapons, one of the earliest unlocks is a foregrip that only improves your idle sway. And while the target laser seems to be one of the last unlocks in every weapon because it's so powerful, it is something they really do want you to grind for. And we could debate about whether or not this should be in the game, we could debate about whether or not these attachments should be such a late unlock, but I don't really care to do that in this video. I'm just going to tell you how to improve and not how the game could improve, because we got to focus on ourselves first anyway. So what do? When it comes to snipers, any attachments you want to use are pretty much fine. Just make sure you use the target laser, especially if you're doing any type of quick scoping, because that precision and consistency is important. Secondly, if you have a weapon that maybe this isn't going to be as important for, like an SMG or an AR that you're really comfortable with, but you like to use the vertical foregrip on, I'd recommend swapping over to the precision foregrip just to give yourself a little peace of mind, because this is going to reduce your idle sway as well as your horizontal recoil. It's sort of the middle ground between idle sway and horizontal recoil control. When it comes to precision weapons like the DMR-10 or the SWAT 556 or even the AEK, I would recommend the lightweight foregrip for heavy idle sway reduction. Or if you want the best combo, I'd recommend running the target laser and the precision foregrip. So your horizontal recoil, your idle sway, and your idle sway delay are greatly changed. I almost said increased, but the increases the delay, reduces the idle sway. You understand. So basically, snipers, target laser. Weapons where you don't really notice a problem, but you like to run the vertical foregrip, run the precision foregrip. If the gun is way more of a precision weapon and missing shots is not an option, anything that's slow rate of fire like a DMR or even something like the Tonto 22, I'd recommend the lightweight foregrip. And if you're really serious about making sure this is never an issue and you never have to worry about it, run target laser and precision foregrip. This is going to give you a visible laser, but it's not terribly visible, and in the fast-paced nature of this game, I don't think most people are going to kill you because of it, unless you're hard pre-aiming angles, which you shouldn't be anyway, because of the aforementioned idle sway. And it goes without saying, if you're dealing with a gun that has a lot of recoil and you want to run the vertical foregrip and a compensator, also run the target laser alongside it, just to make it that much more consistent. Unless it's a really close range weapon, in which case the target laser or any sort of idle sway reduction might not be necessary at all, and you might actually be better off building towards hipfire spread. But that's sort of basic and obvious, and I don't really need to tell you guys that. Anyway, if this video helped you out, please leave a like, and if you want more content like this, subscribe, and if you want to see me live, hit the bell icon to get notified when I go live, because I do live stream on the channel. We figure a lot of this stuff out live. I talk a lot about this kind of stuff. If you guys want a lot of my unfiltered, rambly opinions, my live streams are a great place for that, and all of my Black Ops 6 live streams are going to be public for members only. So once the stream is done, it's going to be unlisted. Unless you're a member, you'll be able to go and watch it. So for $5 a month, you essentially get a podcast of me playing the game and rambling or joking around with friends, or sometimes just kicking ass. If you want to watch it and you don't have time to watch them live, it's a good option and it supports the channel. So thank you guys so much for watching, hanging out, being cool, and I'll see you in the next one.